Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Today we're talking about a huge shift happening in Washington. On Wednesday, the U.S. House of Representatives passed a staggering $1.15 trillion defense bill, pushing a massive increase in military spending that has left Democrats furious and Republicans cheering. This bill, which is the annual National Defense Authorization Act, is the body that sets the U.S. Armed Forces budget every year. Normally it gets a lot of bipartisan support, but this time the votes were almost a straight party line, 216 to 212. All but a handful of Democrats opposed it, arguing that the legislation would give President Trump the power to wage war in Iran without a proper congressional mandate or oversight. Senate Democrats, who blocked the Senate version last week, also won't have a way to pull the Senate vote through because Republican leaders don't have the needed numbers. So even though, the House has moved forward, the bill still faces a tough road ahead. What slimmer bits does the bill actually contain? First, it raises pay for service members, which is always a popular point. Second, it underscores collections funds for missile defense production, and adds resources for strategic investments in critical minerals. The legislation also includes a bundle of provisions aimed at how the military uses and regulates artificial intelligence across the Department of Defense. Perhaps most controversially, the bill would rename the Department of Defense the Department of War. President Trump and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth been pushing this rebranding, claiming it better reflects the department's core mission and American strength. Republicans have embraced that headline, seeing it as symbolic of a larger agenda. Speaking of Trump's agenda, Speaker Mike Johnson highlighted that this bill codifies over 65 of the Trump administration's executive orders and legislative proposals. And Representative Mike Rogers, the chairman of the Armed Services Committee and the bill's chief author, told listeners that, for the first time in 40 years, the budget accounts for the true cost of American deterrence. He said the enormous increase of more than $227 billion over last year's defense spending is needed to keep the United States prepared for a more dangerous world. But the Democrats have clear concerns. They worry that the provisions essentially let President Trump exert unilateral control over military actions against Iran. They argue that without meaningful congressional oversight, the United States risks committing significant resources to an ongoing conflict that could be destabilizing. So we're left with a real question: will fiasco in the Senate, as well as the stark partisan divide in the House, stall, greatly alter, or even derail this bill before it reaches trip president? Many analysts predict that a largely bipartisan rewrite will be necessary to get the measure through to the nation's leader. That's the story: a massive, historic increase in defense spending that could reshape the Department of Defense and possibly Singapore extend U.S. involvement in the Middle East, all while lawmakers are split on whether or how much to spend. We'll keep you updated as this bill moves forward. Thanks for listening, and tune in next time for more updates on the political battlefield out there. Until next time, stay informed and stay curious.